That's what a squirrel sounds like. The Ballad of Squirrelbeard, Part 4, The Rise of Squirrelbeard. If you missed the first 3 parts, they're in a couple of videos down there in the description, probably a playlist. Hello again! If you're still with me, thank you. Yeah, I thought about this one for a long time, but I'm here now. It's been nice getting this story out, cringe and all. It's cathartic. I see why people share these stories, and I hope that you are enjoying the tale thus far. I'd planned to post this part tomorrow, but I got some flack for missing details. I think that was the issue anyway, I'm not totally sure. So, I'm sorry. This happened 20 plus years ago, and due to the trauma, I actually have some memory gaps. I'm using a mix of journal entries from that time, as well as what I've recovered in therapy, to flesh out this tale as much as I can. I also am condensing certain things on purpose so that this story isn't insanely long. If I didn't, it would be like twice as long as it already is. Which I guess isn't the worst thing ever, you know, we went through 34 parts of Unfortunately or whatever it was. I apologize if there are missing details. So far, it's been mostly set up for the main event, which we are getting to in this story. If you haven't yet, read parts 1, 2, and 3 to catch up, and thank you to ReddX for picking up my story. I got you, fam. Dude, this is where the real cringe starts. I'm not sure if you know what you've gotten yourself into. I definitely do. That's why I was so hesitant to post this. But alright, I guess today's the day. For Moonhorse's reading, it's over there. For ReddX's reading, click here. Oh, that's beautiful. Who to choose? Who to choose? I mean, I got my pick, but I'm slightly biased. This one, I have a bit more of a clear memory of, and it gets into the meat of the story, so I figured I'd just get this out tonight. I hope that it's more satisfying than previous installments. This tale covers from when I was 20 until 22. A lot happened in those 2 years, and age 22 will be a good spot to pick up on in part 5. The cast, OP, me, 20 to 22 throughout the course of this part. I was a college student now, majoring in graphic design.
Graphic design is my passion.
Still living with mom and dad. After the debacle of living with boyfriend, I was in no hurry to leave a stable home life again. Squirrelbeard SB 20 to 24 during this part, he was beginning to take his final Squirrelbeard form. He worked in a video game shop, grew out his hair very long, like longer than mine, and it was always really stringy and greasy, and he had taken a liking to Renaissance fairs, which is not inherently bad. I kinda like them myself, but when you mix a beard and a fair, just no. I too loved the Ren Fair, but let's be honest, it is full of some weirdos. You gotta be careful of who you're getting to know out there. Beetle, 21 to 23, my best friend and true soulmate, recent joiner of the Discord, so welcome to him. He was still living in another state and was no longer with Cowgirl at this time, although he would be again. At this time, he was dating a girl that we will call UltraBeard! UltraBeard? That doesn't sound good. UltraBeard was the, girl that Beetle was seeing at this time, and the worst woman, aside from her sister, to ever walk the face of the earth. This creature is a disgusting waste of life, and she's only even listed here because she, unfortunately, plays a large role in 2 parts of this tale. Bro, you're making it sound like worse than Squirrelbeard. How could she be worse than the titular beard? I guess we'll see. Raven, schoolmate still, we were going to the same college and she was living at home too. It made college feel like a continuation of high school at times. Is that good? Is that bad? I think that's bad. Biological father, BF, my biological father. An a-hole who maltreated me and saw me as something to control, not as a person. Not my dad. I had a wonderful dad, R.I.P., that was not this man. I no longer lived with him, but he was still loosely in my life. Hadn't found the balls to fully break away quite yet. Mom is my mom. Yep. A true angel that tried to save me from said maltreatment, but being a stubborn teenage girl, I did not make that easy. She also warned me time and time again about Squirrelbeard, and I never listened. Man, this cast list getting beefy, bro. I guess it's good to know the relationships with the parents and whatnot. Dad is not my biological father, married my mom when I was 6, and by the time I lived through the horror of living with biological father, I realized that Dad was truly my dad. At 23, I changed my last name from biological father's to Dad's to symbolize who I truly thought of as my dad. Dad was a great man, and I miss him dearly. He passed in 2019. But still, he lives on through this tale, or something like that. Alright, cast list is good. Let's get into the story, folks. Okay, so we're gonna jump forward just a bit to my second year of college. I'd made it through the first without incident, and I had just turned 20, so I was feeling almost like an adult. Whatever that's supposed to mean, I still don't feel like an adult. I decided I was ready to make the adult decision of going to see Squirrelbeard. We'd been continuing to talk online this whole time, still daily. Our conversations had turned, intimate many times by this point, but to be honest, I didn't even realize it half the time. I was still unkissed and naive, and that was all about to change. Oh no, it's like a date with destiny or something. But as I've said many times, like, at least you learn from it, you know? Mistakes happen and whatnot. Maybe that's just a bunch of copium. I don't really know. So against the advice of my mom, I decided to make the 6-hour trek to go see Squirrelbeard. You got 6 hours to think about this, turn around at any point. And this is where our story really begins. I got to Cityville and Squirrelbeard was at work. He worked in the local game shop. He said it would be easier for me to meet him there than to give me directions to his apartment where I would be staying with him. I agreed, but when I got there, I felt a tremendous amount of butterflies. I don't think those are butterflies, bro. Those are maggots. You need to get up and out. I had actually seen Squirrelbeard in person since the day that his parents sent him away almost 5 years ago prior. I knew I still loved him, and I was so excited to see him that I was shaking. Oh, the things we convince ourselves of. Stay away from that puppy love. That's poison. I popped into a nearby market to walk around and clear my head. I still remember walking around that store with butterflies in my basket, feeling like an idiot. I remember the market radio was playing Goodbye to You by Scandal. It's an 80s song that I liked, and hearing it reminds me of that moment. I should have taken that as a message from the gods to get the hell out of there and go home. But I didn't. I do believe in messages from the universe, and yes, avoiding this one a dire mistake, as I'm sure we will come to see. I finally got the nerve to go into the game shop, and I was worried that I wouldn't remember what Squirrelbeard looked like. The moment I walked in, those worries went away. I recognized him immediately. He looked different, to be sure, but he still looked like the boy that I remembered. Gone was the clean-cut prep look, and in its place was long, stringy hair that I now cringe at, but at the time I thought it was so hot, because at this point, Squirrelbeard could do no wrong, in my eyes. He saw me and hugged me straight away. I hugged him back and got lost in his embrace. Oh, this is cringe to remember, honestly. I remember he had an odor, and now I would probably be turned off by it, but at the time it smelled like him, and I loved it. Gag. Excuse me. I need a moment. I think we all do. Let's collect ourselves for just this couple seconds. Okay. Ick. So moving on, after he got off work, we went and had a coffee at Starbucks and we talked. It had been so long since we were able to talk in person, so there was a lot of catching up to do. I filled him in on my life, college, Beetle, living with my mom, etc. He filled me in on his life, work, some fantastical Ren Fair stories, an ex-girlfriend I never knew about. We ended up going back to his apartment. He lived alone at this time. His apartment was decorated with so many squirrels. Everything had a bloody squirrel on it. I didn't truly appreciate the level of his obsession with the little critters until later, but It was a bit unsettling then. I mean, I get it, but also I banged out chicks with like 50 Hello Kitty dolls staring at me, so it's whatever. You can look past a lot of stuff. He actually referred to himself as the Lord of the Squirrels. I kid you not. Why? What? How were squirrels appealing in any way? This is where the name Squirrelbeard is derived, of course. He invited me to his room so I could put my duffel bag down. We sat on the bed and continued to talk. He told me his perspective of the CB story from back in part 2. I know she said horrible things about me, and you believed her. I lost so many friends because of that, and there was never even any baby. She blackmailed me. She tried to ruin my life, all because I just wanted to break up with her, he said. And yeah, from one angle, Crazy Beard does look like the crazy one, but it's possible that they're both out of their minds. I never meant to abandon you, but you left and never even said goodbye, says OP. Squirrelbeard sighed. I couldn't. I was in a hurry. I was lucky to say goodbye to as many people as I did. My parents just made a snap decision, he explained. I wasn't one of them, I said. He sighed again. I'm sorry. I should have. I came back to you. In the end, I was on your side, I said. You were one of the only ones, and I appreciate that. I'm sorry for how things went down, he said. I nodded. Me too. We talked for several more hours until I started getting tired. I'm gonna go sleep on the sofa, I said. Nonsense! You can sleep in my bed. We're both adults, right? And we're friends, right? Squirrelbeard said. Do not fall for this one. There's nothing wrong with the couch. I like the couch. I want to scream at my past self in this moment. You naive child! Yeah, we're both adults and just friends. Nothing more, I said, then went into the restroom to put my PJs on, but I kept my bra on. I am fairly large-chested, and going without was an invitation. I didn't realize that an invitation wasn't needed. I mean, even going, that's not an invitation. Although with a guy like Squirrelbeard, I guess OP, deep down, she knows what she's dealing with. She's just convinced herself that this is what she thought it wasn't. And of course, remember, OP had still not had her first kiss by this point. So we get into bed, and he turns out the light. It's not too late to sleep on the couch. Come on. It hurts me, man. It's like you could see the train headed for that giant pile of dumpster fires, but you can't do anything. I'm on the left side of the bed and lying on my left side, so I'm facing away from him. He's on the right, and I am trying to go to sleep. I swear to every god on Olympus that I truly thought sleep was all that was going to happen. Oh, bless your heart. The couch is fine. Please. And then, as I am half asleep, I feel his arms come around me and reach for my breasts. I jump, startled at the touch. I wasn't expecting it, and I was, as I said, half asleep. At this point, I'm not sure if anything actually happened or if it was one of those weird dreams that you have sometimes as you're dozing off. But either way, I was now very wide awake. And you're gathering up all your stuff to go and lay on the couch now, right? Just to be safe, right? Please? Ugh. I stayed on my left side, not wanting to seem freaked out in case it was a dream. I lay awake for several minutes. I was just starting to think that I had dreamed it and was about to let myself relax enough to try and sleep when he did it again. This time I didn't jump. I didn't move at all. I was completely unsure what to do, what was happening. He pulled me onto my back and reached under my top. He was not expecting to find a bra, so he sighed and pulled it up to expose my chesticles. Jesus, dude. Like I get freeze as a fear response, but we really need to knock that out of ourselves, right? It's time for fight or flight or heavily worded conversation. But I don't know. I guess I understand being young and not knowing what to do in a situation like this. I can only hope somebody hears this video and like remembers it if they ever find themselves in something similar. Now, dear reader, let me break this scene for a moment to answer a question I'm sure you have. OP, why the hell didn't you stop him? Well, you see, reader, I was 20 and naive and in love. I thought the fact that he was doing this meant that he loved me too. And if I rejected him, it would be like saying I didn't love him, so I just sort of froze. Somebody who loves and values you as a person would wait until the time is right, until you're both essentially consenting. This has all been a giant ruse, and I don't know how you could just accept it. You're killing me. So, Squirrelbeard touched me, and then pulled me into a sitting position and took off my top, and told me to take off my shorts. I complied and then laid back down. God damn it, dude. I hate all of this. He had yet to kiss me, and I was in no way ready for the real act. I was still in shock over this whole thing. He got on top of me, still dressed, and started to grind against me. He did this for a few minutes, and then he got off and took all of his clothes off. Pulled me over, grabbed my hair, and guided me down, and I knew what he wanted at that point. I mean, I was naive, but not that naive. I opened my mouth and gave him what he wanted. Still haven't been kissed. No, this is the saddest story, dude. Are you kidding me right now? When Squirrelbeard was done, he got on top of me and whispered/grunted, "Are you ready?" I blinked. Ready for what? Me, he said. I blinked again. Again, I still have had yet to even have my first kiss, and I was in no way ready for, you know. I was still processing the fact of what I had just done. I shook my head. No, I pleaded for the first time. No, he asked. Then he put my hands on him and asked me to get handsy. I did that, and it seemed to satisfy him. He rolled off, put on his pajama pants, and went to sleep. I grabbed my pajama pants, pulled them on, and lay awake in disbelief until exhaustion took over, and I finally was able to go to sleep. Yeah, this has all been a waking nightmare. Embrace sleep. Take me away to somewhere better, dreams, please. The next morning, Squirrelbeard was acting like nothing had happened, and I was floored. I wondered if I hadn't dreamt the entire thing, or nightmared it, I guess would be more accurate. It was only because I found my bra on his side of the bed that I knew for sure that I hadn't dreamt that. It happened. I had given my first ever a bluey before ever having my first kiss. Is that not heartbreaking to like everybody out there? This is so not normal. This is so not okay. Now, the important question here is, did I want it? Was it consensual? In a literal sense, yes. I never said no, and I didn't stop it. Do I feel like I was taken advantage of? A bit, although not in comparison to what would happen later on. Oh no, I don't want to go to later on. I was honestly too shocked to really even register what was happening until it was over. I guess if I'd had my wits about me, I probably would have said no, but I didn't. So no, I don't consider what happened to be assault or anything. I do consider him to have fully taken advantage of the situation, and that was still a pretty scummy thing to do. It's taken many years of replaying that night in my head for me to truly figure out how I felt about it, and honestly, it's something that I still bat around my thoughts from time to time, as I wish I could relive it knowing what I now know, with the strength that I now have, but we can't go back. I mean, it's a terrible situation to be in. You were lured over on false pretenses, slept in the bed on false pretenses. Was it more coerced than it was consensual? I would say so. So, yeah, I feel a pretty different type of way about this than you do, OP, but it's your experience. And I guess we are looking at it all now with the benefit of hindsight, so I don't know. I suppose we can all agree it is very unfortunate. Well, anyway, I digress, as does OP. Later that day, he did eventually say something.
Hey, you're really good at that,
he said. What? I asked, and he smirked.
You know.
Oh, okay. That was my first time doing that, I admitted.
No way. I don't believe that. You were too good,
he said. Ugh, can we not talk about this anymore? I had no idea if I should be flattered or offended. No, really. It was my first time.
Then you're a natural,
he said. Oh, God. I hate that a lot. Then he dropped it, and it wasn't brought up again. Thank God. I ended up leaving the next day. I was pretty relieved that it was just an overnight stay. I was still processing everything that had happened. He never said anything about us being a couple, but all of his messages became a cesspool of smut after that. Suddenly, he didn't care about my day or my friends. He just wanted to sext constantly, and he wanted to share every depraved fantasy that he ever had with me. And then you come and share it with us. See, it's like the giant circle of life, isn't it? Is it really that bad? I hope it doesn't get too bad, man. Like, I'm pretty sure that I want to see this guy go against the wall. I'm just looking for the clincher, right? His primary fantasies were about control. I imagine that. He fantasized having a woman that was
that satisfied his every desire and couldn't say no.
Gross. He often made comments about wishing he could mind control me and make him clean his apartments in nothing but stiletto heels and then pleasure him upon his request. That fantasy sucks. She's getting nothing out of it. He also fantasized about a harem in which I would be the primary girl and command the other girls with him, but he would still command me. It made me feel uncomfortable, but young love makes you overlook a lot, so I placated his sick desires, at least through text. All this is really weird, bro. This all paints out a picture like I only see you as an object. But OP's like, yeah, I still love him. Why? What has he done for you? It's supposed to be a two-way street, for God's sake. Anyways, not long after this, I had a longer break in school and flew to another state to see Beetle. It was here that I met UltraBeard. I won't spend too much time on this creature. She was absolutely disgusting, and I never liked her. I tried to warn Beetle, but he too was in love, and it turns out he lost his V-card to her, and boom boom is a powerful weapon. I suppose it is, especially on the younger ones. Once you get too old, you're like, yeah, that's fine. I later found out how creepy UltraBeard truly was. She had a foot. She would not wear socks. She compared that to wearing a prophylactic, something that Beetle should have also been doing. There's a lot of things you could pick to enjoy. I don't know why feet. So I spent a week in another state with Beetle, and during this trip, Bon Jovi happened to be in town. I got tickets for the three of us. UltraBeard only went because she had a car and Beetle didn't. We went to the concert, and the whole time, UltraBeard was such a downer. Back at the hotel, Beetle went to take a shower, and UltraBeard went in there with him. To this day, Beetle swears that they really did just shower. He says UltraBeard wanted to do it, but he wouldn't because his best friend was in the other room. I don't know if this is true, but I do want to believe him on this one, so I do. Come on, OP, not all men are dogs. It seems like Beetle's got some standards. Don't make this whole trip more awkward than it needs to be. Upon sharing the story with him pre-posting it, he once again insists that he didn't do anything with her while I was in the next room. Seeing how happy Beetle was now that he lost his V-card made me rethink whether or not I was being a prude. I mean, I was in love with Squirrelbeard, right? Sure, some of his actions were on the creepy side and he was treating me like nothing but an object, but we were in our 20s. This is what adult love is, right? No. No! But I can't save you from some lessons you have to learn on your own. And so, the debauchery persisted. I went to see Squirrelbeard pretty much any time I had a break from school. By this time, he was living back at home with his parents, but they allowed me to stay over. Oh, goody! His dad had grown up next door to my mom, so our families went pretty far back. You know, small town life. I think he swore that I was the girl next door sort of friend. I think this because he made me be quiet that night when he started touching me again. God, with your ugh. See, Beetle, he got this guy has no standards. He's an animal. Just the worst. This time I was sort of prepared for him to do something. I wasn't sure that he would with his parents right across the hall, but I wasn't completely surprised like I had been the time before, and this time I stopped him. No, I said.
No, you did it before,
he whispered. You had me do that, and I still haven't had my first kiss. Kiss me first, and then we'll see what happens, I insisted. At least you're drawing a line in the sand. Not where I would have put it, but small victories. Squirrelbeard sighed, but he nodded and pulled me into a kiss. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I finally got my first kiss at the ripe old age of 20, after already having given out a bluey, just what every girl dreams of. You're killing me. Even when it seems to be going right, it's so wrong. This continued. We did everything but it every time I visited. I started getting hotels because I refused to do anything in his parents' house again. It felt icky. It is icky, bro. By the age of 21, I had decided that we'd done everything but it, so we might as well go all the way and do it. I expressed my desire to move things further. Also, keep in mind that we were not officially dating at this point, although he would make comments about cheating on me as if we were, so it was all very confusing. Yes, and all very much a dumpster fire that you need to get out of. It doesn't matter if you're dating or not. This whole interaction is toxic. Shut it down, point blank, bar none. On one visit, I made it clear that I wanted it to happen, and Squirrelbeard seemed uneasy with this idea. He tried to change the subject. He talked about anything else. He grabbed my laptop and wrote Ode to Pepsi 1, which is really gibberish, and for some reason is still on my laptop to this day. He finally asked if I wanted to go to Target. I agreed because who doesn't love Target? I mean, yeah, if I gotta pick. Sure, why not? I was also pretty confused. Did he want some prophylactics? Was he trying to get my mind off of the act? What was happening here? On the way to Target, Squirrelbeard opened up and admitted his issue.
I'm sorry,
he said. For what? I asked.
I have issues because of Crazy Beard,
he admitted. I looked at him. What do you mean? Have you not done it with anyone since her? I asked.
I have. I did it with X,
the ex-girlfriend that I didn't know about until I started visiting him.
But I get nervous, he said.
Oh, you try to play pool with a limp rope because you're too nervous, right? But OP asks, why?
Because of what Crazy Beard did. What if I do it and a girl fakes a pregnancy again? Crazy Beard ruined my life. I never got to go to Japan. My life will never be the same because of a kid that never existed,"
he said. Yeah, I'm sure that's the exact reason that you never went to Japan, my dude. If you were determined enough, you would go. OP reassures Squirrelbeard, saying, "I'm not crazy, Beard. I was trying to be understanding, but I was a little offended. He could bang X, but he thought that I was gonna be a crazy psycho like Crazy Beard."
I know you're not. You're my friend. I just need time.
Yeah, and in the meanwhile, he wants to check out what that mouth do. Is nobody seeing through this right now? What the hell? I nodded, and of course, I agreed. I loved him, and I was willing to wait, hard as it was, and wait I did, until the next year when he finally gave in. This was also about the time that Beetle called me and told me he was going to be a father. Oh God! He'd just broken up with UltraBeard to get back together with Cowgirl, and a week later it turned out that UltraBeard was pregnant, but you know, like, totally for real this time. Oh my, I don't think OP's being sarcastic. Beetle called me scared to death, and I cried with him on the phone. In turn, he helped me come up with ways to convince Squirrelbeard that I wasn't like Crazy Beard. Our lives were about to get way more complicated, but that, dear reader, is a tale for part number 5. TLDR, OP finally sees Squirrelbeard again and ends up giving a bluey before ever getting a kiss. But in the end, she gets a kiss and finally decides she's ready for more. All the while, Squirrelbeard refuses to officially commit. Pretty sus, all things considered. I'm not liking this none too much. There's something deeper going on within his head. I don't think he actually sees the act as something to commit over, so there's probably another reason that he's lying, and I want to find out what that is. We'll make it an extra beefy video today. Merry Christmas, or Christmas Eve to ya. What did I get you guys? Well, an extra beefy video, so let's check out what's in part number 5. The Ballad of Squirrelbeard, Part 5. A tale of a million red flags. Uh-oh, China's gonna be real jealous. Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a squirrely beard that started back in high school and grew into a toxic affair. A 3-foot-long beard, a 3-foot-long beard. I like it. For real, y'all, I'm hoping that you're liking these stories. I tried to flesh out part number 4 some more, and I hope that it worked better. Coming up, we'll have a lot of spotty memories and events that I just simply don't remember how old I was when they occurred, but I have a basic memory of the order that the events happened in, so I'll do my best. I appreciate the comments. Sorry if I don't seem like it. I still have trouble accepting compliments or positive feedback, but I do appreciate the support. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you don't have to respond to every single comment. Just keep making the content, right? And then people know that you're grateful for the support. I do reply to comments when I can, but it's rare these days. Especially with the holidays and all this stuff going on. I don't know, man. Edit, thank you to ReddX. Heyo! I'm honored you chose to read my tale. It's not Naruto Headband or Chris Trucker, but honestly, what is? That's fair. It definitely serves. It definitely brings the cringe. Don't count yourself out. For Moonhorse's reading, for ReddX's reading, parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's also a cast list, which looks relatively the same, except Step Monster's in there. My stepmother that was generally a monster to me. This was around the time she accused me of being a Satan worshipper. And when I pointed out that Satan is a Christian construct, and I'm not Christian in the slightest, she said, "I know about these things. I watched Charmed." Yeah, okay then. Yeah, the power of 3. Blessed be. Is that Charmed? Maybe. Seems like a pretty okay show. Don't let Stepmomster ruin that for you, all right? So, our players are now set. Let us continue. As I said in the last part, Beetle had just found out that UltraBeard was with child. Even worse, with his child. And they had just broken up a week prior. Now, I was annoyed because I had warned Beetle to practice safe intercourse, but he didn't listen. He never listens to me, even still. Not to say that I wasn't also concerned and eager to be there for him however I could, but I digress. The worst part was that he was 23 and in no way ready to be a parent. It was also by this point that he was starting to see the crazy that I saw in UltraBeard, and he was back with Cowgirl. Technically, he was back with Cowgirl just before he broke up with UltraBeard, and I never condoned that, but our 20s were, well, our 20s. Mistakes were made by all. I mean, that's fair. There's a time in my life where I always kept one on the back burner, you know? But it's not a good thing to do. That's not the way you want to go through life. The first thing I asked Beetle when he called me was if he was going to reconcile with UltraBeard. He said, no. And I was relieved. The next thing that I asked about was custody. He was seeking full and sole custody. Considering UltraBeard's home environment, that probably wasn't going to be that hard. Beetle had just gotten his own apartment for the very first time. I could tell he was dealing with a lot, so the first chance I had, I went to another state and spent a few days with him. I spent what money I could to help him set up his apartment, got him a TV antenna, and some other things to try and make it as comfortable as I could. Oh, look at this. OP's nesting without realizing she's nesting, huh? I also went with him for the first sonogram of his child. I got to see the little tadpole. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was looking at my little girl's first sonogram. Yeah, she's my daughter now too. I have since adopted her. Hey, big ups to that, honestly. I give a lot of love to like good stepdads, but good stepmoms, I don't know. They don't seem to get the same degree of play. They get brushed under the rug for some reason. So great job, OP. And great job to all step parents out there that are doing their best. But I digress. I really wanted to stay in another state and be there for Beetle, but I eventually had to go home and, you know, get back to my life. Around this time, a lot of changes were happening in my family dynamic. For one, I had my dad's biological son move in. We'll call him Brother. I so badly want to call him Brother Beard, but I love my big brother, and he's only on the cusp of being a beard. He somehow managed to narrowly avoid actually fitting into that category. Hey, don't come at him just because he likes nerdy things, alright? It's the beard on the inside that counts. Remember that. Check out the t-shirt over on Teespring. Oh, I should also mention that you should probably subscribe if you've listened this far. Hey, there's the plugs out of the way. So, I had only met Brother a couple of times before this point. He grew up with his mother, and he was 7 years older than me. He had gone into the Air Force after high school, and now that he was out, he was lacking direction. Huh, relatable. Dad offered to let him come move in with us and go to college with me, so for the first time in my life, I had a big brother. There were definitely some growing pains as I adjusted to this. It was hard to be a little sister. It was also just for a brief amount of time. Brother's program wasn't a long one, and soon he moved to Capital City. This is a very important detail later on. I might remember it. Honestly, I'm just glad that he found some direction. You don't gotta really know the direction you're moving in, just keep moving. Meanwhile, I would still visit biological father, but it almost always ended in disaster. One day he told me to go make him a sandwich. I refused and told him that he had legs and hands that worked just fine. Stepmonster pulled me aside later and scolded me for talking that way in front of her daughters because she didn't want them thinking it was okay to tell a man no like that. Bro, I feel so bad for those daughters. They're doomed. Another time, one of her daughters, the older of the two that was in middle school at the time, created a pentagram of cotton balls on her carpet and set fire to it, and I got blamed. Nah, she did that for TikTok. Look, she uploaded it. Was this before TikTok? It could be just dumb kids doing dumb kid stuff. I didn't live there, nor had I done anything remotely like that, or even thought of that, honestly, because it was so freaking dumb, but I still got blamed. I was accused of making her daughters Satan worshippers, just like I was, supposedly. Stepmonster, I am pagan. Satan's a Christian deity. I'm not Christian. Thus, I don't believe that Satan exists. How can I worship something that I don't believe exists? I asked.
I know how that witch stuff works. I know all about these things. I watched Charmed.
she shot back. I had to fight back my laughter. I so wanted to say, oh, I watched ER scrub me in for surgery. But I didn't. I just nodded and left. I watched Grey's Anatomy. Doesn't qualify me to be a doctor, just qualifies me to kiss a doctor. Heyo. So after all that, I pretty much tried to keep my distance from biological father and his house even more than I had before. Meanwhile, I was still going to Cityville to see Squirrelbeard every chance that I could. By this time, he had introduced me to the Foamy the Squirrel cartoons, and I had become well acquainted with all of his vast amounts of squirrely decor. I had accepted his title as Lord of the Squirrels, and although I found the obsession weird, I overlooked it because love, or some rough approximation thereof, I guess. I so was ready to do the wild thing at this point, and I really wanted Squirrelbeard to be my first because, again, rough approximation of something resembling love. In the meantime, I did whatever he was willing to do, and I just sort of went with it. He had finally agreed to do it the next time I went to see him, and I thought I was ready for anything. Oh, how wrong I was. I mean, everybody's first time is sort of a disaster, but I think this is going to be a special kind of disaster. I got to a hotel, made sure that I had prophylactics on hand. I was also on birth control. I didn't want to end up in the same spot that Beetle was in. I was pretty sure there wasn't much more I could do. When Squirrel got there, I'd barely said hi before he slammed the door behind him and pushed me against the wall and started kissing and undressing me. I'll spare you the nasty details, except to say that we did finally end up doing the nasty. Are you okay? I asked him after we finished.
Yeah, are you?
He asked. Yeah, glad to have my first time over with, I chuckled.
Wait, that was your first time?
He asked. I looked at him to see if he was joking or being serious. Did he really just forget that I had been a virgin? Yeah, it was, I said.
Oh,
he said. Okay, so maybe not joking. So what happens now? I asked.
What do you mean?
He said. I sighed. You know how I feel about you, obviously, but we still aren't official.
I know. But you live 6 hours away,
Squirrelbeard reasoned. Okay, but I'm almost done with school. What if I move to Cityville after I finish my degree? Maybe we could be official then, I asked. He smiled.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
I smiled, satisfied with that answer for the moment. Bro, he didn't agree to anything. He's like, yeah, you can move near me. Okay. And then what? And then nothing. God, he's a worm. I know it. So a little while later, Squirrelbeard told me
he had to go home and he couldn't stay the night.
What did I just say? He's a worm. I forget his reasoning, but it had something to do with work. I was disappointed, but I understood. He told me he would pick me up the next morning
and we'd go get breakfast.
I agreed and bid him goodnight. The next morning I got up and got dressed, and I waited for him to call or show up, and he didn't. Around 10, I was getting worried, so I called his house. His parents answered, but he wasn't home. I thought maybe he was on his way. 11, still nothing. I tried his house again. He still wasn't home. Noon, not a peep, and he was scheduled to work at noon, so I tried his house one more time. Still not home. Finally, I tried his work at 1, and he didn't show up to work. I knew all too well what this meant. He stood me up. He wasn't coming, and he basically ghosted me. No, he 100% ghosted you. Can we cut some Rodney Dangerfield in here?
No respect at all.
To say I was heartbroken would be a massive understatement. I'd given my V card to him, and he ghosted me. After 8 years of friendship, he ghosted me. I I wrote him a note telling him how much I loved him, but that I was done, and to never contact me again, and I left it for him at the game shop. I packed up my car and checked out of the hotel 2 days early and headed to the nearest family that I had to Cityville, which at that point was Brother in Capital City. I told Brother what happened, and he was all too happy to let me crash at his place for a few days while I wrapped my mind around this entire situation. I spent a couple of days wallowing in complete and utter heartbreak, and Brother let me have that, and then he started to try and snap me out of it. He took me to some strip clubs. I am bi, so I quite enjoy a nice strip club, and he shared his adult video stash with me for me to take home. It was what I needed in order to not focus on Squirrelbeard. None of this sounds all that constructive, but you know, you do what you gotta do to get through. So 2 weeks later, when I was back at home and back in school, I finally got a message.
I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but I'm sorry,
it said. I was dumbfounded that he would have the gall to reach out to me. You're alive. I was so worried, I said, trying to convey my sarcasm in a text format.
I deserve that. Can I explain?
He asked. No, I don't care. Go away. No, no, no. I wanted to say no. I should have said no. This is another spot in the story where I should have just let it be over. But that's not what I did. Oh no, dear reader. That's not what I did at all. Fine, I replied.
I just freaked out. After I left the hotel, I drove around aimlessly for a while, just thinking. I thought about Crazy Beard, and I panicked. The next day I drove some more. I just had to think and work through my panic, and I should have told you. I'm sorry,
he said. Is anybody buying this? I'm definitely not buying this. I am not Crazy Beard! I shot back.
I know,
he said. Do you regret sleeping with me? I asked.
No, I don't,
he said. That was my first time, and you frickin' abandoned me. You abandoned me, I said.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say,
he said. I never want to see you again, I said.
You don't mean that,
he said. Yes, I do, I said back. Of course, I didn't really. Oh, come on! Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in! Within a week, he had broken me down with his apologies, and we were talking every day again. This time, he kept the dirty talk down, for a little while anyway, but he started having me on the phone while he was gaming. Boring. I would sit there for hours and listen to him play a little game called World of Warcraft. I started to feel like I was second to this game. Let's be honest, I was further down on the list than just second, but yeah. I mean, everything is second to World of Warcraft. Once that game sinks its hooks in you, it's basically over, unless your significant other plays as well. And of course, all of this continued when I would visit Squirrelbeard. Yeah, I started visiting him again. Don't judge me. I am contractually unable to judge you as long as you learn something from it, which it seems like you did. By this point, Squirrelbeard had his own house. It was actually his parents' house. They moved out, but they were renting it to Squirrelbeard and his 2 roommates. This meant no more hotels, and I could finally sleep at his place again. Oh, hooray. Most of the time while I was there, he would just play WoW, and I would talk to Beetle, who by this time had a beautiful daughter that we will call Wee One. It had not taken much for Beetle to get sole custody, given the state of UltraBeard's family and living situation, which was not fit for a baby in the least. It didn't help that UltraBeard truly didn't seem to care what happened to Wee One. And so, basically, Wee One was Beetle's child. And every once in a while, UltraBeard would pop in for a visit, you know, when she felt like it. Quality, top-tier parenting. Oh, if only it was so easy. I'm only a parent when I feel like it. Cool. It eventually got to a point that Squirrelbeard would tease me about being a WoW widow because of how much attention he gave the game. I guess there's some self-awareness peeking through. Still not official, but he was talking like we were when it suited him. It was also at this point that I should have seen how selfish he was. He would call me over to give him a bluey in his gamer chair, and when he was done, he would just go back to the game. This is the thing he described earlier. You're being treated like an object. It's time to get up and out. Although I do think OP's finally coming to the realization. I finally got sick of all this, and I had him show me how to play WoW so I could at least be involved in what he was doing. If you can't beat him, join him! He agreed, and I rolled a mage. I ended up loving it, and to this day, WoW is actually the best thing that Squirrelbeard ever brought into my life. I still roll a fire mage as my main, and both Beetle and Wee1 play with me. It's become a family game for us. And they do play Alliance side, which of course is the right choice. If you ever need a basic human paladin, call me up. This just shows you where Squirrelbeard's priorities were. That is to say that Squirrelbeard's top priority was his own pleasure at any given moment, which is fine, unless you want people around you to care. And then you generally have to have at least one iota of caring about their well-being as well. And just as I was starting to realize this, Squirrelbeard did something that should have raised all the red flags, because he hadn't already, I guess. But instead, I took this as, oh my god, he really cares. I was pretty close to graduating college, but I was also struggling to the point that I was considering quitting. I did great in my Photoshop classes, as well as audio and video. Illustrator, however, was a nightmare for me to pass. I vented this to Squirrelbeard one night during our nightly phone call. I can't do this. This class. I'm not gonna pass, and so I won't graduate anyway, I sighed.
You can't quit,
he said. Why not? I asked.
Because you're close to graduating,
he countered. And on the surface, it seems like top quality advice, but you know deep down he's only doing this so she could be successful so he can mooch off of her, right? OP says, I'm not gonna be a graphic designer anyways. I did this for lack of anything better to do. I know what I want to do now. I want to be a teacher, so why bother finishing this degree? I asked.
Because you're very close,
he said again.
And?
I shot back.
And you can't just throw it away. You know how badly I want a degree, and you're so freaking close.
He started to cry. It's my degree, not yours, and you can't make me finish, I cried back.
Stop being so difficult. Don't be an idiot. Just finish your classes,
he yelled. It's my friggin' choice, I yelled back. After living through being controlled by biological father, I did not take too kindly to being controlled anymore. Not even by Squirrelbeard, at least when it came to stuff like this. He screamed and hung up on me. We calmed down and we were fine the next day. Next time I went to see him, he was playing WoW, and I noticed that his headphones were broken. What happened? I asked.
You,
he said. Oh, I made you break your headphones, huh? You are just the biggest baby, man. I looked at him confused.
When we were fighting about you finishing school, I was pretty pissed, and I ended up breaking my headphones,
he said. Red flag, abort, run away. But no. Oh, I'm sorry I made you so mad, I said, putting my hand on his.
Oh,
it hurts me. Why, dude? I thought this was going to be the point of awakening, but we're not quite there yet.
I just care. I just want the best for you,
Squirrelbeard reasoned. I nodded. This was proof that he cared, right? Yeah, broken headphones, 100%. What'd you get me for Christmas? Pair of broken headphones? Awesome! And this is where I leave you for now, dear reader. When we resume, we'll catch up on the time that Squirrelbeard almost converted me into a
good Christian wife.
as well as the reason that I hate UltraBeard with the burning fury of a million suns. TLDR, OP finally does it and continues to ignore every freaking red flag that Squirrelbeard waves. There are 3 parts remaining. I know that the fireworks are coming. I'm holding on to hope, you know. It does turn out okay for OP in the end, but I don't know, man. Squirrelbeard is just so insufferable in so many ways. I might have been too liberal with my use of the wall lately. I'm trying to find a reason for Squirrelbeard to not go against it, but I don't know, man. It sort of seems like he deserves it. He's 100% a user, and I don't like that none too much. I just can't wait for OP to realize that fact. So thank you for watching, friends. Of course, as always, please like, comment, subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Check out the links in the description. All sorts of stuff down there. I'd also like to thank my Patreon patrons and my YouTube channel members, as I do at least once a week. So thank you to JC, Me Jerry Su Jerry, Project Duke, Just Video Watching, Amel Jahan Mute, Abe Wells, That One Gay Cop, Valet Crane, Glitching Out Gaming, Cellwing666, Samantha, Origami Steve, Vladimir Dragonov, Sean Cantwell, John Indoors, Trainboy, Shiza, Angel Dark, Bedazzled Misery, Skylar Rain, The Fezwearer, Heaven Set 777, Robert Thibodeau, Grim's Tribe, Tooth Plushie, Corey Arts, Florentic Waver, Dungeon Bat, Billy Deep, Robert Waits, Brandon Ashcraft, Phantom Danica, Skylar Morningstar, The Gypsy Barber, Fire Drake, and Death's Flagship. Heading over to Patreon, we've got Miss Black, Harley Hohen, Robert Allen Waits, again, Camille Sarah, Dawnbreaker Drake, Fluxer, Captain Cloud Jerry, Hong Kong, Yameth, that's ellipses, Origami Steve, Santa Jerry, hey, it's your season, Silent Revolver, Zathras 28, the original Jerry, 211 Jerry, Zarvar Barkar, Destiny Piper, Jerry Kitsune, and Frankenberry. Ain't that a hiding bitch though? Assassin Bug Jerry, Baby Jerry, Bailey Joy, Billy D, Bitch Gremlin, Blade the Hero, Chance for Blue Kraken, Chef Dan, Commander J Tank, Dirty Little Jerry, Dr. Lux, Dial, Aaron Era, Erratic Mechanic, Eastparts 50, Frozen Over Studios, Fire Drake, again, Gizmo Jack, Hey Dream BR, Irish Pirate, Iron Hollow, Irradiated Jim, JM Coon, Jerry Smith, Jerry Blacktail, Juicy Lucy, and the Adventures of Daddy Saggy Baggy. God. Jukebox Jerry, Cuddly Kraken, Lady Italian Greyhound Dino, Lady in Awakening, Lauren Crow, Legitimate Girth, Lord Jerryo, leader of the Thunder Jerrys. Lukevex was a race car driver. He was a good friend of mine. Like and subscribe, Lady Dix, Mad Monk, Melgar the Destroyer, Metal Facta, Needless King 89, Phantom of the Pines, Jerrykins and Jerry Beth, Sarita the Lolita, Scarlet's Kevin, Sergeant Gay Cop again. For both of them, actually. Silo Imp, Stephanie Goodner, Storm, Jerry, Synaptic Boomstick, Taco Mao, Tamago, the Gypsy Barber, the Littlest Who, What You Flusky, this isn't even my final beard. Try to find another bauble to get back to the real world. I heard we found it, though. Vanguard Angel, VC3, Viking Jerry, Vladimir Dragonov, WikiTag, Comrade Mooney, Kira, Not Another Jerry, Cage, Alex, Redwind, Bad Penny Lane, Carcass, Naga Viper, Third Stuff, Venom Jerry, Jace Christensen, One Like Jerry's Return from Battle, and Normal Jerry's My Landlord's in Chad. Well, that explains the Jason Jim. I was trying to do it without taking a breath. Amber Alder, another stupid hipster. Atomic Jerry Zilla, Bartender Keelia, Big Dad Wolf, Broken Spine Horseradish, Aguilar, Cake Jerry, that's a different Jerry. California Jerry Girl, Chikara the Panda, Corey Des Commissions Out, Cryptids, Devon Jerry, Deftitude, Deku, Dwarfy Dude, Jerry, Boo's Daughter, Ghost of Alpha, Green Jerry Ranger, Greymon 365, Half Slavic Jerry in a tracksuit, Heeknot, Hydra Jerry Solomon, Janitor Jerry, I can't think of anything funny right now. Jeffrey, that's funny. Geralta of Rivia, Jerry but with 2 S's and an E, Jerry Springer, the results are in. You are not the Neckbeard. Jerry the Sussy Baka, Jerry's mom has got it going on. Jerry Roxers, Jerry Role-Playing Game, Kid Marvelous, Kidsikin, Machia City, maybe next time, Miss Duchess, Mr. Gasmack, Not Invisible Angel, Raptor, Seldom Dark, Snary, that's Snob Jerry. If you didn't know, Spoonie the Rogue, Spoopy Scary, Jerry Ton, Techno Dubs, they call me Jerry Two Knives. This is purely a mercantile transaction. It is though. To Infinite Jerry and beyond! Tokyo Bird, Trooper 582, Unkale, Vaughn, you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve a Coors Light, proud sponsor of ReddX. Cringe responsibly. Throws 2-liter Mountain Dew. Grow, my neckbeard, grow. It's Jerry time, holds ReddX Morpher. Hygiene, it's Jerry time, holds ReddX Morpher. Humility, and thank you to my $1 patrons as well. If you can afford to support the channel, that's absolutely huge. Thank you in advance. And if you are currently supporting the channel, double thank you to you guys. I hope you have the merriest of Christmases. I, of course, will be back to see you again tomorrow. Let me know what you got in the comments, huh? Always remember, friends, you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.